Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to MYAVANA's virtual hair quarters and virtual hair club community. We're so grateful that you are here. Here at MYAVANA, we're helping women awaken to their power within and be their best self. Our mission is to curate spaces for our community members when they join the respective affinity groups, which will provide emotional support, daily inspiration, and fellowship with other like-minded individuals. We know the importance of community, and we want to develop, cultivate, and connect you to a space that's safe for you, that's helpful, healthy for you, as well as beneficial for you and those surrounded by you. So we welcome you into this space, and we thank you for being willing to share your presence with us. Hello, everyone. This is Jasmine Bailey, the community manager for MYAVANA. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are glad to have you here. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. And it's a great year to be alive. 2024 is upon us, and we are back in the virtual hair club in our virtual hair quarters. We are so grateful that you have come into this space with us and in this place with us. Here we are helping women awaken to their power within and be their best self. And we are going to a different format, so you will see more content throughout the month here at MYAVANA. So one thing that we have special for you today is a guest that I have been able to meet through a wonderful collective through Marshawn Daniels. I am going to introduce our speaker today, and her name is Kesha Chanel. So I am so excited to share with you a little bit about Kesha. And before I bring her on, I am going to give you just a heads up and a little bit of background about Kesha. Here at MYAVANA, we want to bring women of quality. All women are quality, but we are bringing quality women, guests, influencers, people who are in the field and who are in the trenches themselves and who has a story to share and who wants to connect with people genuinely. So this is Kesha Chanel. So she's an abundant life coach, an author, speaker, and a healer. She's also the creator of successful coaching programs like 24 Karat Confidence, Girl Get Your Glow Up. I love that title, and has helped hosted many Make Your Life Wow workshops. Make Life Wow workshops. I love that. And it has helped people use their voice and express themselves. Kesha inspires, encourages, and supports many women and also a few men through life challenges like marriage issues, divorce, codependency, suicide, ideation, and more. She wrote about this in her book, I Feel Better Already, and her journey of self-forgiveness, rebuilding confidence, and reclaiming her voice after childhood sexual abuse, depression, and divorce. And her book is an Amazon bestseller. She also has a book called Cry, Forgive, Learn, and Move On. She is very, very passionate about helping women rebuild confidence and overcome what took it. So without any further ado, I would love to bring on Kesha Chanel so that she can share more with our community about her story and what she's all about. So Kesha, can you come on up?
Hi, Jasmine. Hi, MYAVANA.
Hello, hello. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you.
You feel better already. Nice, nice.
I feel better already.
Yes. So I am going to let you share with the people because, again, we're in our living room, we're in a space, we're in our virtual hair quarters, and it's a different place for people to be. But we want to welcome people in the space and environment because we know sometimes people do not always have a comfortable or a safe place that they can share, that they can connect themselves to, and that they can feel psychologically safe. So, in your story, in your life journey, you have experienced a lot of things that some people never, unfortunately, never overcome. So you are one guest that I really felt that could speak to that place of being safe because sometimes, and I can imagine, you've even talked about, I've read about it, you weren't always safe. So I just wanted you to share your story with the community so people can know that there are safe places even when you've been in places that haven't been safe. So I'll let you go ahead and share.
So in the place of say, thank you for having me on. First of all, I appreciate y'all's generosity and the generosity of your welcoming on your platform. I appreciate that very much. So for the place of safety, safety is something that's such a tricky thing. And I was actually talking to my therapist about that today. I was in just recently got out of a relationship, and one thing about experiencing all the things that I've experienced, divorce, depression, childhood sexual trauma, there's a feeling of safety that you have, but because you have this fear so long of being hurt again, when you feel a little bit of the safety, you don't really know if it's safe or not. It could be an illusion, but it could be, and it could just be like imagined, or it could be real. But it's hard to understand, that actual thing about safety. But the thing about safety is when you feel like there's this one person in the world that you can share your whole truth, because as women, women of just society, we have different hats that we wear. Sometimes we wear a hat as sister, and you can share your sister stuff. You'll have a hat as employee, and you share your employee stuff. And then sometimes you'll have a hat as daughter. You can share your daughter stuff. But it's very rare that you have a person that you can share all of your stuff, all of your hats, and be completely you, because we feel like, we have to compartmentalize and just be just right and stay within the lines for everybody all the time, right? And that can be so burdensome. Safety is that person that you feel like you can let your whole self down. You can take off the mask, take off the cape, take off the bra, take off the bra, take off the shoes, and feel completely comfortable. And when you feel like you have that person, that's safe. And so that's what I would like to do. And get into that place of safe. It just takes, but it takes vulnerability. It takes you being safe for other people to be safe with you. Because the same way that you want to take off your bra, she wants to take off her bra too. And so it was like, it's a matter of, I'll show you yours, you show me mine. But I'll show you mine, you show me yours. But it's just a matter of being a safe person for another person. But different people with our past, our traumas, and our insecurities and our hurts, we can't, we want to be that safe person. We can't always do that because we're just not that place. So it really, really depends on the person. And really is a godly thing. A lot of people pray for that thing. I've not prayed for that ever, but God has had me be in places and spaces like, this is what I want for you here. Like even the place that Jasmine and I met, I didn't pray for that. God just gave me that. And it was just like, here. But that's a place of safety, and that's how that can happen. But it's very important that you have that thing. And sometimes you feel like you need a whole lot of people for safety. You don't need a lot of people. You just need the one person, and you need that one person can be community, but it's helpful to have a community of several different people that can feel safe, because it's an astronomical thing to have this woman and this woman and this woman's like to say, I get you, I've been there, I've done that. It's like, oh, thank you, I'm not crazy after all. Oh, it feels so good to be seen, and I'm not this. It's amazing. Safety is really big, really big.
Really big. Thank you so much for sharing it that way. And one thing you spoke on that I'd like to ask you to continue the conversation, because when you haven't been safe,
Mm.
that can deter you from even thinking that safety is possible. One.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Two, what are some things that you personally have done to start walking in safety? And you've already shared, and I appreciate you sharing that. We talked about this even before we started talking and recording, is that sometimes we're continually in the process. So it's not this, oh, I'm here. You said you were at your therapist. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to be seeing my therapist tomorrow. Like normalizing the process of being in the process. So can you share about that? Because I think as we create that conversation, I think it can help people, one, when we haven't been safe, to say like, you know what, it's a reason why you don't feel like you can be in spaces. But two, what you have done, whatever practical lesson that you would want to share. You've already shared therapy, but other things that you've done.
So the question is, how have I gotten to my safety, a place of safety? Is that it? Okay. So for me, um, vulnerability and vulnerability when it's hard to be vulnerable. Like I mentioned about the safe places, and you can be vulnerable in a safe place, and but when you're initially feeling like, when you get into that place of safety, to find that somebody to confide in, it feels like nobody is safe. So it's important that you recognize that it's up to you to share a little bit. But then one thing that I've learned too is that not everybody is entitled to your vulnerability. Not everybody deserves your vulnerability. The way that you know is if somebody can share a little bit of themselves with you. It's like if and also if you see, like for instance, if you're at work, you've got some coworkers. That coworker comes and sits in your office and gossips about people, talks about the boss, and then goes around talking about somebody. The same way that they're gossiping about somebody else, they're going to gossip about you. So that person is not safe, even though they can come in your office and sit every day, and y'all can go to lunch and every day and yab, 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 yab about other people. And you think, oh, we're the best of friends. The same way that person is gabbing, 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 they're going to gab about you as well. And that person, you could think that they're safe because you have this bond of this kind of like a trauma bond, really. Because if you're both gossiping about somebody, that's a trauma bond. That's something that y'all need to be doing, and you know good and well. You know it feels good in the moment. It's like, ooh, that's not a good thing. But in the same way that she talked about you, she gonna instead of talk about somebody else, she gonna talk about you. So recognizing that that's not a safe person. But the thing about safety is it's about being vulnerable, and it's about just walking through life, because it's like sometimes you just have to talk about that thing. I remember one day I was at a vendor event and at a hair show that I was in last year, and I was talking about my book. I feel better already. I was talking about my book, Cry, Forgive, Learn, Move On. In my section of the book, I talk about being molested and about how it affected my marriage and how I had to forgive myself so that I could heal, and how I didn't recognize that the being molested affected my marriage, my parenting, my job, all these situations until I was divorced, because I thought everything was his fault. Everything is what I thought initially when we were married. And so when I was sharing with this lady about my story, she said, wow, isn't that so many Black women's story, right? And when she said that, it was like a freedom for her. Like she hadn't shared that had happened to her. Different people will send me DMs like, oh, I hadn't shared that until you talked about that. I didn't realize that when that happened to me, that's why I feel bad in my marriage. And when my husband treats me so good and I feel sad, sometimes it takes one person being vulnerable for you to have that sense of safety open up. So sometimes it's not something that you initiate, it's something that you can be keen to look for. And it's just like, as you're in conversations with people, even if the person is like it can be a coach or a mentor, somebody like me that'll write a book and I'll talk about something on a platform. You'll know, because this person is willing to share themselves and be vulnerable and share their story, and you can just get a feeling too. You get a feeling about a person. That person can be safe. But when you recognize that a person is safe, then you can share a little bit about yourself. And once you start sharing a little bit about yourself, it seems like it's kind of like I get a visual of a person like the caveman back in the day, sitting in a big block of ice, and then there's an ice pick, 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 just kind of picking at that iceberg until it starts to fall away, and then that person can be free, you know? That's kind of safety, and but it takes another person being vulnerable. You can't find safety within you. And you can find safe, and sometimes safety starts within yourself too. Because like the very first part, I feel better already. The first step is acceptance. If you don't accept that you have a problem with depression, if you don't accept that you have a problem with a bad marriage, You don't accept that you have a problem with your weight or with emotional eating or with a job that you don't like. If you don't accept right where you are not safe with yourself because you're lying to yourself. And in order to have, to be able to share any part of you, you have to accept that thing and know that, okay, I don't like this particular thing, but understanding that there's nothing wrong with you. You have to feel safe within yourself before you can actually be open to receiving all that kind of stuff. Because it's what a saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So that when you feel safe within yourself, it's just like, oh, I've been through all kinds of hell, but I'm ready for this to go, Jesus, if you believe in Jesus. Or I'm ready for this to go, period. Okay, you just say it. You don't have to say Jesus if that's not what you believe. But, if you're just ready, if you're at that point, you're accepting, you're tired of numbing yourself, you're tired of going through the motions, you're tired of lying to yourself, you're tired of pretending that your life is great when you really have all these aches that you tell nobody about, how you cry yourself to sleep at night, then you can start to feel safe within yourself. But you have to know that you are okay. You are enough. You're fabulous. You're beautiful. You are enough. And you are just okay. Because even before you get to the fabulous and amazing, just know that you are freaking okay. All the stuff that you've gone through, all the stuff that you feel, it's okay. And you are safe. So it's a matter of accepting where you are first so that you can be safe to go on to share with accepting you are within yourself is the very, very first.
That's huge too, Keisha, because in your first point, acceptance and accept, that is one thing that as I started reading your book and just listening to you speak, you became a safe place for me to share. One, because you like you said, you accepted things that you said, hey, you spoke on emotional eating, but you said, you know what, I've gone through a lot and I've overcome a lot, but this area, it's, I don't know, this is something that I'm facing. And for me, that created the space and the environment to be safe, because as an abundant life coach, you were saying like, yes, I've overcome a lot, and it's something that's not now starting to perk its head up. And I need to face this. But you didn't all also say, hey, I need to face it over here in this corner. You said, I wrote about it in my book. I need some community. Like, community is another factor. And I appreciate you saying that, because here at MYAVANA, that's what we are endeavoring to do in 2024. Like, we're having more community groups to open up. People will be able to see it in our apps. And we have had the discussion, just to your point, that people just don't come into groups and say, hey, I'm going to be vulnerable. It
Exactly.
takes, some time for that to take place sometimes. Um, what I'd like you to share however you feel led, and just you sense that you want to share. For you, what does community mean? Like, even in the real time that you're experiencing, um, getting through emotional eating. Like, I know I have my own things that I need to deal with, but it's like, what does that look like in real time? Because I think that's the safe place that we all need. Even before the call, we both had a day today, but we're still here. We're not pretending that we didn't have a day, and we didn't allow the day to overwhelm us, to stop us. So, can you share a little bit about that in real time?
About community or about the day or both?
Community, the day, both. Yes.
Okay. So community means to me, wow, it means safety. It means girl power. It means it's okay and you're okay. That's a really big thing for me. It's okay and you're okay. That's what I say a lot of times. It means it means a hug, because one thing about me, I'm a really physical touch person. I'm really a physical touch person. And in a lot of our it seems like since COVID, really, a lot of things that we are so disconnected as people. and we're disconnected with ourselves within ourselves because of, the whole way COVID came down. And it was just like, but we are disconnected within ourselves. And then it's like we have this fear of reaching out to the other person, this fear of looking like, and not about safety, it's about, I don't want to admit to you that I don't have it all together because here I have on my makeup and my mascara and no lashes today, but it's just like, I'm looking good, and I made an effort to look good. So I know that I look good. But inside is a little girl scared to fucking death. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm too scared to death. And it's just like, if you see that little girl, what are you going to say? If you see that woman who eats emotionally because she's had a hard day and she doesn't want to feel anything, if you see this woman who knows she shouldn't have been sleeping with that married man, what are you going to say? If I tell you all of my truth, all of my dirty secrets, things that I feel dirty about, what are you going to say? Community means to me that you're going to say, it's okay and you're okay. It's going to say, I've had some hard stuff too, sis. It's going to say, just come here and let me hold you. And we're going to start again tomorrow. And that's what community is. And whether it's a physical hug or it's just a communication through Zoom, it's like, I got you, sis. You had a hard day. I've had a hard day too. It wasn't the same hard things. And I might not have experienced the same hard things, but I know what it's like to hurt. I know what it's like to just want the pain to stop. I know what it's like to have this thing that you use to make you feel better and you think it's making you feel better in the moment and nobody else is going to see or know. And this thing that you just feel a little bit dirty about. I know that feeling. And we're just going to keep on going because God's got us, or we're going to keep on going because we have to. Now it's a little bit easier. God's got you that place to go that's higher than you. But and if you don't, that's your prerogative. But just that thing inside that, community says that you're going to be okay. Now, the thing too about community, there could be within the community, there could be like a smaller community because there's communities for different things. And I'm sure that with the MYAVANA community, like she just mentioned, that they're getting, they have people coming in every week. They're going to do the weekly format. They come in and speak and inspire and give hope. They have this community of women that are doing wonderful things, and it's great to not only feel supported, but also to see somebody that can inspire you. Because it's not just about, because it's very, very, very good to have that hug. You need that hug, but after you get that hug, what are you going to do? You need something a little bit higher. You need something that inspires you to get you motivated, like a let's go, especially it's the whole new year, it's 2024, and we want more in 2024. But you can't have that more unless you have something to aspire to. So that's like, okay, we feel better. So now what are we going to do? So that's what, community means to me. And the other question was about the hard day. So I had a very, very, very emotional day. I have a history of validation, of needing validation from men and needing external validation, period. And I had a day where I got two places I got I interpreted it as rejection, but it was not rejection. It's just the way I interpreted it. And so having from the how do I say that? Because it's not, now that I recognize it, it's not recognized. Oh, it was like a difference of opinion between the job, or I'm a reformed people pleaser. And as a people pleaser, you want accolades constantly. And, oh, I'm so proud of you. Oh, that's so great. And I think I'm a very nice person. And so it's just like to have somebody say, oh, no, this doesn't work for me. Oh, no, this doesn't work for me. It's just like, oh, I'm not pleasing you. This doesn't make you happy. I'm doing something wrong. I interpret that as rejection, even though that's not rejection. It's a difference of opinion. So I experienced that at my job today on a massive level. And I experienced that in a dating space on a massive level. So simultaneously from two different ways, because a lot of times in life, and people that are recovering from external validation and stuff like that, you'll get validated in one space and shut down another space. So it's like as long as you got a little bit of validation from somewhere, you're good, And so you don't have to crumble. but I got it from both places, both ends. And it was just like I was being strangled and snuffed out. And I felt so low and I felt like, who am I? If I'm getting rejection, interpreted rejection from both of these places. And my usual MO is eating. I am an emotional eater, and that's what I talk about. My book, I Feel Better Already, can help people heal from all kinds of things. And one of the things, the first thing I'm going to talk about is emotional eating. My intention is to talk about just different things that it can help you get over, like over the course of the year, like a different set of things, like each time. But the thing I'm talking about first is emotional eating, because that's most alive for me now. And that's my usual go-to. And it's caused me the most, I don't say problem, but it's like a very big present thing for me. And so in that space, my coworker saw me crumbling. When I say crumbling, y'all, you wouldn't think that I was even supposed to be at work. I mean, puffy eyes and snot and like, I work. I with people like that to be snotting and stuff at work. And so she brought me Reese's cups and sat them on my desk. And I looked at them. And usually my MO with the combination of man and my money source, it was just like a nice cluster of, yeah, that Reese's feel better in the moment. And it was not. I looked at them. And I just got on, I have an office. So I got on my knees and prayed. I have anointing oil too, and I anointed myself. And I got on my knees and I prayed, like, God, what the heck? You know, but he sent me so many people that walked me through. And I also had a therapy session today. So it was just like he had orchestrated these different things. It hit me as I left the office that the Reese's cups was right there. And I said, wow, God, you kind of did that. And so it made me feel like, okay, there's hope. Because a lot of times in emotional eating, it's so instinctive. And if it's not emotional eating for you, it could be sex, or it could be excessive TV watching, or it could be there's a number of things. Whatever it is
Work.
that you work, or whatever it is
Yes.
that you use in the moment just to numb you, so you just stop feeling anything, and that's what food and sugar does for me. I stop feeling anything, and I just like, oh, I feel better. And if you do that on a regular basis, it causes problems for your body. And it is like a little bit, it's not bad, but then with the way sugar does with my body, I get a little bit, and that's why she put two big ones on the desk, because she knows all the time before I started, this emotional eating journey, that this is what I do. I come to her office and get chocolate. And so she put that there. And I was just like, no, that was really messing with me. I can't keep giving him my mind. And so, I felt an incredible amount of gratitude and pride when I walked out of my office. And so I was like, okay, I went through hell today, but I didn't let hell have me. I didn't. And it was so orchestrated. God was just like, okay, no, you're not gonna do this. And it was like a test, kind of, because it was. I mean, what I said, it was both at the same time. It was just like, really? But yeah, but he sent me. I guess kind of like if we all are Christian, like the ram in the bush, and like Abraham, he had Abraham make a sacrifice of his son. And he's like, okay, you said, because it's like, I got to do better in 2024. I'm going to help women with emotional eating, but it's the hardest thing for me, Jesus. It just feels so good in a moment. I just do it every day. And I was just like, no, but I want to do this. I want to not depend on food to do something that I need to do anyway. Because what happens with emotional eating, you can eat that thing, and then 10 minutes later, feeling comes back. And it's just like, so it's a self-defeating thing. And if it's work that you use or TV that you use, whenever you get finished with that activity that you are using to divert the attention from the actual emotion you're going through, the thing comes right back. So until you accept it, until you face it, until you actually deal with it, you're going to have the same problem come up. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it's hard. But at the same time, that's the purpose of community. And going to that thing that numbs you is okay in the moment. And it's okay when it's looking like massive stuff, like a death in the instance of a divorce. Yes, it's understandable. It's justifiable. But when you know good and daggone well, you've been through something like this, and it's just like with this thing with this is not new, but it was like a massive attack today with my job. And it's not new with the guy. And it's like, because God said, I told you a long time ago, you don't need no validation from nobody. You wrote about it in your book. You don't need validation from nobody. So it's just like, it wasn't anything that I didn't know, but it's just the emotion that he caused. It was like a ton of bricks smacking me in the head. And I was just like, how do I function? You know, I function by feeling. I function by sitting there in that thing. Because that thing wasn't going nowhere if I wasn't. So, I mean, I had a day. I had a day, but that Reese's was still sitting there, and that's what I wanted to share with y'all. You know, in my community, I wanted to help women through that day, and it's in the beginning of the year, and so many people's resolution is to lose weight, right? But we don't talk about, and everybody's talking about, getting waist trainers and pills, on diet plans. But nobody talks about the emotion of why you're overweight in the first place because you eat too daggone much because you're hurting. Nobody talks about the fact that when you get on that diet plan, how long are you going to stick on? Because you just eating, you're not because you're hungry. It's like with the appetite suppressants, the Ozempic, and all that stuff. You don't eat because you're hungry. You eat because you want to eat, because you're sad, because you're bored, because you're stressed, because you're whatever. Anything other than hunger. Nobody talks about that stuff. And they also don't talk about that, the idea of losing weight scares you to death because it's just like, try again. I failed, I lost it, and I gained it back and I lost it. It scares me. We don't talk about that stuff. And that's exactly how to lose weight. And so I was just like, when it happened for me, like I think it was in November, a coach of mine was just going through that process of getting a weight loss being like, I just want to lose weight. And I freaked out. I was like, I want to lose weight too, but it scares me. And then a friend was just like, just talk about your journey. People never talk about the pain of the journey. And so I talk about the pain of the journey, and it's a lot of pain. But the thing about it is, it's like when you go through and you sit in that dark place for the time that you got to sit in that dark place, a light eventually comes out. And that's the beauty of community. That's the beauty of the MYAVANA community, that y'all can be there for each other. And that's the beauty of my community, that I can be there for you and that we can be there for each other. Because that's one thing about a community. It's not just the head, like Jasmine has her role and then the president has her role. It's not just about them, it's about you guys in the trenches, the sisters that support each other. So yes, and that's what I would like to do with my community. Just kind of just being there, because emotional eating is not, it's like, yeah, I could talk about it, but just the fact that when I say that was a victory for me, y'all, seriously, a massive victory that those Reese's were still on. And because she wasn't trying to be sabotaging, she wasn't. She was just she saw these puffy eyes and she saw, and she knew about the breakup with the guy, and she didn't know, I didn't tell her about the works. And she was just trying to comfort a person who knows, and she knows that that's how I get comforted. She knows how many countless times I've come to her office for chocolate, and she thought that she was doing a great thing because she just smiled as she put it on my desk and left out, and I missed my tears. And so, and it was me. It was my choice, my choosing. So to rise above that thing that sometimes I feel like cripples me, that's massive stuff. And sometimes it's about, having in a community is not only about having somebody to give you the hug to, when you're crying and when you're low, it's also to have somebody to celebrate you, to recognize like, wow, sis, I know you've been going through that for a minute. I'm so proud of you. And sis, we did this thing together. That kind of thing. So it's just like community is very important, and so and you guys know that in my MYAVANA community. So, it's a very important thing that you have these places that we can be celebrated and we can celebrate each other. So yeah, that's what about my day.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. That actually was perfect too, in the way that it all came together in you sharing, because you said something that you've been doing, and I want to give you your flowers and thank you. And in this community, just say like, keep going, sis, because again, you had your day, and this was a day for you. And you, not just that you kept going, you let the Reese sit. You like prayed, you looked at the situation. It wasn't just like, oh, that's wrong, I don't want to do it. Like, you allowed yourself to go through all of the the feelings of it. And that's what we have to, one, learn how. Like you said, you've gone through so much, like you said, in your past. You are still being an example, even when you don't want to be one. Like, that's why I really appreciate you being so open, even when it's not easy. So, thank you. We're giving you your flowers. We hope that people will want to connect with you in your community as well as in our MYAVANA community, in the space. So what I'd like you to do is to share what you talked about with your book, about for people who would like to purchase your book. One, share a little bit more about your book, and then if you can share what you were going to give for our MYAVANA tribe for the 10 people who purchased the book first. So I'm going to get out your way and let you share.
So I've recently written a book called I Feel Better Already. And it's your journey to self-discovery and self-confidence. And it's a 5-step, 5-week. It can be 5 weeks. I say it's like a 30-day journey, 5-week journey. But one thing about acceptance being very, very heavy, you can actually stop after that first week of the 6 days of consistently doing it. You can take a break. It's like, oh, that was a lot. Woo! And then it's just like you can take a freaking breather. Now, I don't recommend it being a long breather. You can take a year, but it's not recommended that you do it that way. And that's the purpose of community, because if more of y'all are doing it together, it's like, okay, we're going to start next week, So it's just like, it's a 30-day journey. It's actually 5 weeks, because it's 6 days each step and 5 different steps. And then that last day of the 7th day is a day of celebration and rest and, just kind of gathering all the stuff that you learned. But it's a 5-step formula called my Feel Better formula. And the first step of the Feel Better formula, it's the step from healing from anything that you've come through. The first step is acceptance. And I talked about that already, that you have to accept it within yourself and accept whatever the reality is of the situation. Because a lot of times we're in denial. And then that denial is how we numb ourselves. We numb ourselves for me, with food, and then with all different kinds of things. You numb it so that you don't have to feel it. But you have to feel it so that God can reveal it, and then you can heal it. So it's really important that we do that acceptance first. And then after the acceptance, then you make a decision. And even if the decision is to not make any decision and stay exactly where you are, that is still a decision. Because denial is like a beautiful fantasy until it's not. So you got to decide what actually is going to happen with your life and what you're going to do. Now, you can, like I said, you can stay where you are, or you can decide to go forward, to heal from this thing, not continue to settle, and do whatever that is. And after you make that decision, whatever decision you make, whether you decide to stay where you are or go forward, there will be emotions that come up from that. Either you'll feel bad, or you'll feel just fear, or you'll feel pain, or just something, but you'll have a lot of emotion come up, even if it's to go forward. And when all that emotion comes up, the third step is to releasing all the pain, blame, shame, guilt, all the emotions that come up from whatever decision that you make. The fourth step, after you release all of that, you get a clean slate, then you build up your confidence. And confidence is so important. In my book, I have prayers that help confidence, quotes, scriptures, and tips to help rebuild the confidence. And then the fifth step, which I think is one of the most challenging, the first and the fifth to me are the most challenges, is the fight to keep it. Because we can feel incredible after a conversation, after, your MYAVANA meeting, you can feel really, yeah, sis, I did this thing. And then the fifth step is like the fight to keep it. That confidence that you built up, the next day, when you're by yourself and having to face that thing, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can handle it. You got to fight to keep that confidence that you built up. It's not just a one-day thing. Just like today, when I was faced with all that stuff, it was like I had to fight through that thing, And I had to call in the Calvary, and there's no shame with calling in the Calvary. And it was like, I don't know how many people I talked to today. But hey, yeah, I had victory, daggone. But the fifth step is fighting to keep that confidence that you built up. So that's my book, and that's what it's about. And there's a course that goes with it, and there's digital videos for each day, and then one at the end of on that 7th day, you can have a call with me. That's how the course is. It's a group call, that every, for the 5 weeks. That's how the course is. But what I'm doing for the MYAVANA community are the first 10 people that buy the book. They can go through have a workshop with me, and we can talk about everything that's in the book. And you can also get a discount on the course. It's I think 25% discount on the course, so that it'll be wonderful for you guys just to kind of work through that thing. And you can work. And the cool thing about it, it'll apply. The digital course will be yours to all the time. You can use it for the emotional eating, but you can also use it to heal from a breakup, um, problems with money, any kind of problem, anything that's gotten you that you have to accept where you are in your reality of your situation, and just to feel better, to get to your feel better. You can use my book and use my course for that. So you guys get a double treat.
I love it. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you sharing that. And that's wonderful, everyone. Did you hear what she said? You can get 25% off her course, but you want to purchase her book so that the first 10 people that purchase the book, that you can get that workshop, and we can do it in a community. So hopefully we will be able to see Kesha. I'm going to be getting her more information on how she can get into our community app so that you can see Kesha into the community app, My Healthy Life Room, and the other rooms that will be opening up, so that hopefully if you want to post some of your content there and share, and then for anyone else, again, who wants to join this group, purchase your book. Purchase the book, I Feel Better Already. We'll have the links in the description box, and we'll have the information for you. What I'm going to have people do too is that you send me an email at community@myavana.com once you purchase the book, because we want to get those 10 people. We'll have Kesha's information, but we want to get those 10 people together in that community, because there is something when groups of women, it could be men too, but we're talking about women here. When a group of women are able to get together and hear from wonderful people like you, Kesha, in the story, and as we're all going through the story, to be able to have a safe place, to be able to have a safe environment. And again, that's what MYAVANA is here to do for women who are looking to have that space to awaken the power within and to be the person that you were meant to be. Kesha, she mentioned Jesus, and yes, we do mention Jesus here. And he is in the marketplace, and he is at the center of a lot of things. We don't want to shy away from who we are. We also want people to feel safe to be who they are and how they were designed to be. But you do have to take that vulnerable step. So we do have our app that I would like you to consider downloading and coming into the myavana.com community rooms. We have My Healthy Life opened up right now, and in 2024 we're going to be opening up more rooms, bringing more wonderful guests. And I love, Kesha, that you mentioned it that way. Yes, right now here is a perfect place for people to feel like warm and wanting to be in a community. But that last point, you're going to have to fight sometimes. And that's why we need community, because when you're in it with someone else, it's like I could be giving up. And Kesha's like, no, Jazz, come on, Jazz, come on, Jazz. Or Kesha could be giving up. And I'm like, no, Kesha, come on. You can do this. Or we can say, no, I know you're not giving up. Just take a rest. You need to breathe. You need to, you need to take a knee right now. You need to rest. So that's okay too. So here at MYAVANA, we are wanting you to be in a place that's safe, that's a community, that is somewhere that you can begin to open up, that you can find your tribe, you can find the room that you need to be in, and you can find the space. So I want to thank our wonderful guest today, Kesha Chanel, for sharing your vulnerable story and your book, I Feel Better Already. Again, we'll have the information in the so people can access it. And we hope that people will join our community rooms. Again, download the app and you can get into the rooms today. And Kesha, I appreciate you and I thank you for being you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Until next time, we'll see you then.